Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is my second video of Power BI series, and in this video we will be talking about Power Query. And so let's get started. So first thing we need to do is we need to import the data one more time. So let's go to Get Data, click this text CSV button. It will ask you for the data file. So this is a CSV file that I've downloaded. So I'm going to select it. Now it is preparing the data for preview. Now you can preview the data. So in this window, it is showing you all the columns that are available in the data file. And it is also showing you file origin. It is also showing you column title and the delimiter information. Now, in the first video, we clicked this load button. So without doing any transformation or cleansing, basically we just loaded the data. But in this video, we are going to perform the transformation, and all the transformation in Power BI is performed in Power Query, which is quite similar to Power Query that we have in Excel. So let's click this transform data button. So it will show you this window. So over here, you can see all the data columns that are available in your data file, and you can perform quite a lot of steps. Power Query is a tool within Power BI that allow you to run transformation on your data. And this transformation could be cleansing your data, pivoting, unpivoting your data, removing or adding some columns, and it could be to remove some blank records from your data. And all these operations are recorded in the applied step section. So you can go through the applied step and you can see what happened to the data from the very beginning till the end of transformation. And for each transformation step, Power BI is basically performing some operation behind the scene, and it is using M language, which is mashup language that is developed by Microsoft. And this particular language is performing all the operations under the hood. So over here, you can see like I perform a transformation step to remove some columns. So basically it is only selecting a limited number of columns from my data. So in this particular example, I've selected these column date, region name, area code, and rest of the column from my data are basically deleted as part of this transformation step. Similarly, if you're changing a data type, so that data type change will also be recorded in your applied step. So these applied step is basically a history of transformation steps that are performed by a user to cleanse the data or to run some transformation on your data. So first thing we are going to do is basically we are going to confirm like whether we have got the correct data type or not. So for each column, and if you click this icon, so it will show you the data type. So over here, we can see like it is a date column, which is correct. Similarly, region name, Power BI has identified as a text column. So that's why you can see text. Similarly, area code, we have got alphanumeric value. So that's why it is considered as a text column. Average price, Power BI is intelligent enough to detect as a decimal number. I'm going to remove some columns which I don't need in my data model and which I don't want Power BI to load it. So you can see an option over here, choose column. So if you click choose column, so it will show you a list of columns that are available in this data file. So I'm going to select only those columns that I want to load in my data model, and rest of the columns I just want to delete it. So basically I want average price, I want 1 month percent change, 12-month percent change, and similarly sales volume, detached price, all the columns which are related to detached house price, semi-detached. Similarly, I want data for terrace houses as well. I want data for flats. And that's it. Basically, rest of the columns I'm not interested in. So that's why basically I have selected only those columns which I'm interested in. And after selecting these columns, I will click OK. So you can see here that before we had quite a lot of columns, but now we have got only those columns which we have selected. So this way, basically, you can remove unnecessary columns. There is another way you can remove these columns from your data. So if you go to remove columns, so again, like you can remove columns by selecting whatever columns you want to remove. So let's say you have selected area code, you have selected average price, and if you click remove column, so it is going to remove these two columns, and it is also going to add a step in applied step section. So you can see here that the last step was remove column. But what if you want to undo this particular action? So you can click this button, it will undo that step and it will add back those two columns. Similarly, in this particular data file, I have added a null record which hasn't got any value in any of the columns. So what if you want to remove such records from your data file? Go to remove rows and you can click remove blank rows. So this will remove all the records which are basically blank in your data file. Similarly, this particular data file is quite huge. I just want to load the data for few regions. So what I can do is I can select those regions over here. I can type in that value. So let's say I want to load the data only for London. And I also want to load the data for Manchester. I want to load the data for Birmingham. And I want to load the data for Glasgow. So when you click OK button, so Power Query will apply a filter on your CSV data file, and it is going to remove all the records except the selected region names that I have selected in this particular step. So you can see here, this particular step is called filter because we are filtering the records from our data file. Similarly, I don't want to load the data all the way up to 1995. I just want to load the data from 2016 onwards. So what I can do is I can apply another filter and I can select the value, or I can directly go and I can say date filter after. So if I apply after filter and if I type in a value 01/01/2016, so it is going to exclude all the records prior to 2016, and I will only get records which are on or after 1st of January 2016. And you can see here that I've got this as applied step. So the purpose of this Power Query is that basically you can apply some steps, some transformation steps to your data, and all these transformation steps are basically recorded in your Power Query, and these are part of your data model. So if someone is looking at your data model, so they can see what steps I have applied on this data model and how many records are removed, how many data types are changed for how many columns. So they will get a complete picture that what steps are applied as part of transformation, as part of data cleansing. So now I'm happy with my changes. So if I want to load this particular data, so I can say close and apply. So Power Query will start loading the data after applying all the transformation steps that I've done in my Power Query. And I can also make sure that whatever transformation step I have applied in Power Query, whether or not they are applied while loading the data into Power BI. So over here, I can see that I have got data only for 4 regions. And similarly, I've got data from 1st of January 2016 onwards. So you can see here. And similarly, I've got only columns that I've selected for detached, semi-detached, terrace houses and flats. So rest of the columns are basically removed from my data model. So now my data model is ready for visualization. I hope to see you guys in my next video, and I hope you like and subscribe and share my video. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye.